Hi, I thought it was time that I really introduced myself to you on YouTube and just told you a little bit about who I am and what led me to making jewellery out of old books, because I know it's not exactly the usual kind of thing. So, obviously, I'm Jilly. I'm 63 years old and at the moment I'm living in Peterborough and I'm loving it. I was born and raised in Portsmouth. I did my teacher training, my initial teacher training in Bath, and then I went to Oxford Poly to do my teacher of the deaf training. And I've taught and lived in Chichester, in Bath, obviously in Oxford, and I was there for a year. But I spent most of my time teaching in London and in Walthamstow, teaching in a whole range of schools. I took early retirement about 8 years ago now, something like that, 7, 8, because of health problems. Basically, severe arthritis and a few other bits meant I became disabled. And that also meant I had to give up patchwork and quilting, which was my creative outlet before that I really loved doing. But because I've always been creative, it was really, I had to find something else. I spent about a year, 18 months trying out different things, journaling, collage, modelling, just slow stuff, just to find something that I could manage without too much pain or difficulty, and that still just fulfilled that urge to create. And eventually one day I remembered that when I was a kid I used to like doing origami, so I got some paper, went online and found that I could make origami. Then took a bit of a sideways swerve. There were only so many bottles of cranes and other various things that I could deal with in my house. Tried making paper flowers, but it was a few years before that really became popular. And I also found that I find it easier to fold smaller pieces of paper, mainly because I could then focus the movement my hands rather than having to use my shoulders and triggering a lot of pain. So one day I just thought, can you make origami jewellery? Did a bit of a Google, did some research, bought some cheap findings and basic tools, and just started having a go. And found that yes, I could. And it was fun and it was different. And I just really enjoyed it. And at that time I was using mainly bought origami papers, which I loved because there were so many different ones, as well as one book which was Pride and Prejudice, and that was the first piece that I really used for my paper jewellery. Always felt a bit strange, how many people actually want jewellery made out of paper, though it is surprising how durable it is. And just on a whim, in April 2017, on a Sunday, I entered something called Theatre Fetus Small Business Sunday. I think it was one of those days when I was feeling a bit bored, a bit down, a bit, what the, just enter it, Can't, it was free, wasn't going to hurt, that was it. Did the entry, which was on Twitter, and when you had the shorter word count, sent it off and forgot all about it. The next day, I think it was about 8 o'clock, my phone, which was on charge at the other side of the room, just started beeping and buzzing away non-stop. And I ignored it at first and then thought, oh well. Went to answer it, get it, and found that I'd actually won. And I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. And I also then found out that some people take months, possibly years to win. So I was just incredibly blown away that I'd won on my first week. That led to me meeting Theo Paphitis and getting my photograph with him. And what was best about that was that it just really made me feel that I wasn't being a complete idiot making jewellery out of paper. It just was that validation that, yep, this is good. You're doing something really different, really imaginative. Keep doing it. So I did that. So I was still living in Walthamstow, so a lot of selling mainly at markets then, and gradually getting going online with Etsy. Going to move on a few years, and 2018, the end of 2018, I moved up to Peterborough. It didn't do any markets the first year. It was taking a while to get established. Business really went on hold for a while I was unpacking and getting sorted. But I also, if I show this off, got my own purpose-built studio. It was the old garage at the end of my garden, and I just had it revamped to my specifications, and I love it. It really is my happy place, and it's also my granddaughter's happy place. She loves coming up here and crafting with me. Excuse me. The first market I did was at the end of 2019, or the first real proper market I did at Peterborough Cathedral, and I noticed something quite strange. I was doing a few different books then. I'd started to bring more books into my range. I was doing Dracula and Jane Eyre and Little Women and one or two others. But doing it for the 2 days at the market, I found that I was selling much more book jewellery to the normal paper jewellery, and that book jewellery was what was really exciting people. And when I did the sums, counted up at the end of the 2 days, it was something like 2 to 1, 3 to 1, the number of sales of the book jewellery to the other. So I decided it was time to pivot. And so since then, my jewellery's become more and more focused on sustainability, starting with using old books and old sheet music. That interest in sustainability grew when my daughter, her husband, and my 3 grandchildren moved up to Peterborough, so that we're all close to each other now. And conversations with my grandchildren, I became really aware of how much climate change was starting to impact on them. It was something I was always already aware of, and I was doing things like plastic-free shampoos, so buying the bars of shampoo and things like that, and block soap. But talking to them and seeing how concerned they were, it started to make me think about what sort of a world, what sort of an environment were they going to inherit. And I could just for myself see the differences between my experiences growing up as a child and theirs. I mean, when I was growing up, it was commonplace to see caterpillars crawling along the pavement, and you'd pick them up and stroke them or put them on a leaf, and you just don't really see that anymore. So I decided to do another pivot, not such a big one, but to really focus as well on sustainability. So obviously recycling old books plays into that really well, because books can't be easily recycled, and I will do another video on that. And the same with sheet music, but I also wanted to take it further. So looked around I just did a count and looked at where I could take things out of my business. I made sure I now don't have any plastic in my packaging or in my display materials at all, unless I'm using a padded bag that's been sent to me. My business cards, I make sure that I'm laminated and recycled card, so that if you don't want them and after you've picked it up, or the cards that now come with my orders, if you don't want it, they can be binned and put out for recycled without any problem, because they're not laminated, because they've not got any fancy finishes on. And thanks to that, I got a plastic-free champion status. As prices of recycled metals started to come down, and as it became more prevalent, easier to buy, I found that Cooks and Gold, who I get all my silver metal from and my findings from, were just selling all their silver wire, sterling silver wire, it was recycled. So now I can make my hooks for my pieces from recycled sterling silver wire. And I just decided to put all my earrings on silver, because it just makes life easier, and it just makes my jewellery gives a bit more quality. And I decided to plant a tree for not necessarily for every item, but every purchase of over £15 at a mark online, or £12 or over in person, to plant a tree. Because I felt, being sustainable, I wanted to also give back, to try and do my little something to try and leave this world in a better state than perhaps it is now, and just to help, just to do something, as to say, for my grandchildren's future. And as part of that, the end of last year, 2023, I was approached by an organisation called Blue Patch, who've got the only sustainable directory in the UK, about joining that organisation, and I was really happy to do so, and that's been great, and getting a lot of information. Again, it's just another step in that road to making my business as eco-friendly as possible, and to get as close to, or to achieve, net zero, which is what I would love to do. I'm not sure if I will manage it, but I'm giving it my best shot. And every year on my website, I revise my sustainability statement. I do my own audit and I record it, and I don't just hide it away. The button for it is on the homepage of my website, so that if you want to know what I'm doing, want to check that it's not just greenwashing, it's there. You can just click, you can read it. I'm not hiding anything. It's absolutely genuine. The other exciting thing that happened last year was that I was approached by a local community interest business, I can't remember that term, but called Up the Garden Bath, who had got permission to host some pop-up shops in my local shopping centre in Peterborough, and would I like to take part? Again, that was incredible, because it means that for the first time I could have my products out front and centre and well displayed in a high street shop, and that was just incredible, and continues to be incredible, because they've now got permission to have, they've now got a shop for a full year that started in mid-November last year. And that's just amazing. And one of the nicest things is it's another place where I actually get to chat to people who like what I'm doing or who have bought what I'm doing. And that's just huge, because particularly as I'm doing something unusual, something different, to know that other people get it means the world. So yeah, so that's where I am. I'm making my jewellery. I think that will always be the central key part of my business, but I'm always developing new designs. So my latest one are my little bunny earrings, which I just think are super cute. I'm also starting to do a few different things, like started to do a couple of small models, like my dragon, my smorg. I've started selling kits, going back to the beginning a bit in that in Unity, selling flowers, paper flowers made from old books. And although it's not finished yet, I've just finished folding 25 of these tiles, which I've used pieces of paper cut from just incredibly beautiful, because I've not got any great ones left, black and white illustrations, to create a piece of artwork. So yep, there are new things going on, trying new things. I started my YouTube channel just this year, so that's still very new to me. Got a lot to learn there. And I'm now in the process of relaunching my subscription list with a new way to sign up through a new email provider. So yeah, that's in a nutshell my story to date. I absolutely love what I do. I love just creating. I like using my imagination. I like the sustainability aspect of it. I love the people that I've met as a result of this. And what is the most ironic thing, and perhaps what I'd like to take away from this, is that all of this started as a result of something that was at the time absolutely devastating to me. When I was told I had to give up patchwork and quilting, I can remember going round to my best friend's house and just bursting into tears. I was heartbroken. And that was quite a way through all my health problems with my neck and then shoulders and that. I think I was coming up to having surgery, but it was the first time I'd actually cried. I'd been angry, I'd shouted, I'd been miserable, but I didn't actually cry until that point, because that was so important to me. And then after the surgery, with mixed results, with the things that I wasn't told in advance, it was a tough time. It was really hard. I tried to keep going with my work. I was an inclusion manager, assistant head in a large primary school. Really a job I loved, but one that was very stressful and very demanding. And it got to a point where I couldn't manage that. I moved to 3 days a week, slightly different post, building on my expertise with reading difficulties, because I'm a dyslexia specialist. But it soon got to the point that however much I tried, even just doing 3 days a week, I just could not physically manage. The pain would just be unbelievable. And for those 3 days a week, I would go to work, do what I had to do, push on through, get home, go to bed, get up, have a something to eat, which is usually just cereal because that's all I could face, and go back to bed again till the next morning. And then weekends, I just spent a good batch of time just trying to get comfy in places, not doing much because I was just so exhausted, and I had to build up my energy, what they call my spoons. If you know it, then you know it. And it was a really, really hard time. And even now, I can't think about my actual last day at work when I finally threw in the towel and accepted that actually I had to seek early retirement, without feeling really emotional and getting quite tearful, because it hurt so much. But 3 things kept me going. God, I can't remember how many fingers put it up now. And that was my faith, because I was a Christian, and although I had problems with the church I was attending and their attitudes, just my faith helped me get through it. My wonderful, wonderful daughter, who in spite of all her own difficulties was and continues to be the best support any mother could have. She was always there for me, and not just her, but also her husband, who is lovely, and my 3 wonderful grandchildren. They were just so much support of the best kind. And the other thing was my jewellery, Paper to Pearls. It gave me a purpose. It gave me something to do. It gave me an interest. So I was still learning, finding out more about it, about making jewellery, about using paper, the best things to do, about marketing online, about doing markets, so much, which I love. I love learning. And it also meant I got to meet new people, which was good. But just having that validation that what I was doing was something different and was something that people loved meant so much at that time, when I was really losing all my self-confidence and to some extent the things that had made me me. I mean, I'd been teaching for over 30 years. So it just seems so ironic, I suppose, that the thing that out of that really difficult time came something else, that I've now got this whole new, I don't know if career is the word, but this whole new aspect to me of being a small business owner, of being a jewellery maker, of being an online seller. Things that I never ever dreamt of or imagined I would do. But suddenly, that's what happened. And if it hadn't been for me developing the arthritis and other bits and becoming disabled, I wouldn't have any of this. I wouldn't have my studio. I would be probably still teaching, hopefully part-time, but just trying to get through to my official retirement date, or to make it as far along as I could. in an education system which is becoming less and less supportive of children with special educational needs and disabilities, which was my passion education. So that would be getting more and more difficult. And just not having the time or the energy to do other things that I enjoy doing, to go to a crafting club once a week, and to spend time with my family. It really is all about attitude. I think, and your choices of how you react to things. If you haven't read it yet, I really recommend you read Edith Eger's book, The Choice, which talks about her time in a Jewish concentration camp, the choice that she made and which affected her for so much of her life, which has been utterly incredible. But one of the things I took from that book, which she talks about her own career as a psychotherapist, is that we can't control things that happen to us. We might like to think we can, we might like to wish we could, but we can't control these things. And bad things happen to good people. But what we have got control of is how those things affect us. I could have just sat back and thought, I can't do anything, I can't do this, I can't teach anymore, I can't do sewing anymore. I'll just sit back and watch TV all day and do nothing and maybe moan about things and how dreadful it all is. But that wasn't me. I was determined it wasn't going to get the better of me, which is why I tried to keep working for so long. And then in finding something new to do, I just discovered a whole new side to me and something that I really enjoy. So I think it's important to remember you have that choice. And that's what I got from her book and in different ways. And I chose that there were things I couldn't change, but what I couldn't control, but what I could control was how I reacted to them. So anyway, that was a long, deep and meaningful video. I think I'll leave it there. If you've hung through to the end of this one, well done. I applaud you for it. If you do have any questions to ask me, then please add them below. And if you've got any ideas for future videos that I could do, either around my own story, about my business, books, then please add them below, and that will just give me ideas for things to talk about or video about going forwards. And this at the moment is my latest thing that I'm learning, is how to do videos, which is why sometimes they're not very good yet. But anyway, take care, stay safe, and bye for now. Bye.